A girlfriend. All 26 of us boys walked in a straight line over to the main orphanage building and filed onto the breezeway porch and took a seat on the cement floor across the aisle from the girls. When instructed, we children, two abreast, walked into the dining room. I took a sharp right and stood behind my assigned seat at one of the many tables aligned about the large room. The children, ranging in ages from 5 to 11, stood at attention waiting for Mother Winters, the head matron, to ring the dinner bell so we could be seated. We watched as her hand reached for the small silver bell, and then suddenly she jerked her hand back. Matron Winters seemed to be a little disappointed when none of the children accidentally pulled out their chair and sat down before she rang the bell. This was one of her favorite tricks. She loved sending several of the children away without their meal for pulling out their chair before she actually rang the bell. "You little bastards, go ahead and sit down," she said, as she smiled and rang the bell at a very fast pace. Large bowls of slimy, boiled okra and eggplant were brought out of the kitchen and set in the center of each table. Each child took turns dipping the messy substances onto their plates as the black cook Charity served Matron Mother Winters her meal of pork chops, steamed carrots, and a tossed salad. I held my nose as I raised my glass of warm powdered milk to my lips. Many times I had thrown up when trying to get the large lumps to slide down my small throat. When I did get sick, the matron would rake the vomit back into my glass, and I was made to sit at the table until I re-drank the entire contents. So I always tried to drink my milk first so there wouldn't be any food in my stomach. As I tilted my head backwards, I noticed little Carol looking at me with a smile on her face. Trying to smile back, I accidentally dropped the glass, spilling the milk all over the table. "What the damn hell do you think you're doing, you little bastard?" screamed Matron Mother Winters. "I'm sorry, Mother Winters, really I am," I yelled back at her. "You think I didn't see what you were doing?" "I wasn't doing nothing except drinking my milk." "Come here," she demanded through gritted teeth. Slowly, I slid my chair away from the table, and I walked to her location. I stood there looking down at the floor. Hearing nothing for several seconds, I looked up. When I did, her open hand slapped me across the face, causing me to fall to the floor. "It was just an accident, Matron Mother Winters," I told her. "You're just a goddamn pervert." "You!" she screamed, as she pointed at 8-year-old Carol. "Get your hoary little ass over here too, and I mean right now." Shaking so badly that she could hardly walk and almost in tears, little Carol slowly walked to where Mother Winters was now standing. "Why did you smile at him?" she said as she grabbed Carol by the ear. "I didn't smile at him." "Don't you lie to me, you little tramp." "I thought he might puke again, and I was almost laughing." Of all the rules in the orphanage, speaking to someone or smiling at someone of the opposite sex was an unforgivable sin. "You illegitimate bastards know that talking or smiling at boys and girls leads to sex, and we will have none of that goddamn nonsense," she bellowed as she swung her arm in an outward motion. Slowly, I got up from the floor, and I turned to face Carol. "Can you be my girlfriend?" I asked her in a shaky tone. The next thing I knew, I was flying through the kitchen door. Heavy metal pots and pans began hitting me in the head as they fell from the large metal rack. Once again, I got up and walked back into the dining area. Wiping the blood off my mouth, I walked up to Elaine Smith. I stopped directly in front of her. "Will you be my girlfriend?" Elaine's fingers went into her mouth and she started biting them as hard as she could. Then she started crying. Almost all the girls at the table began crying. "Come here!" screamed the matron. I turned and walked over to where 6-year-old Beulah Gilman was seated. "Will you be my girlfriend, Beulah?" I asked her. She said not a word as she looked down at her plate of food. "Get over here right now, you perverted little bastard!" yelled Mother Winters as she grabbed her chair and threw it across the room. Licking the blood off my hand, I walked over to where Matron Mother Winters was standing. I stopped directly in front of her, looked up into her face, and said, "Mother Winters, will you be my girlfriend?" The room of 60 children fell totally silent. With eyes open wide, she said not a word. I turned and walked over to Charity, the black cook. "Charity, will you be my girlfriend?" Charity, Her big white eyes opened wide, bent forward and kissed me gently on the top of my head. Then she hugged me as hard as she could, and then she patted me on the back. "I'd be proud to be your girlfriend, Mr. Roger," she said. Crying as hard as I could, I covered my face, walked out of the dining room, and went over to my dormitory building. I rinsed out my bloody mouth with water, and I walked up to my room and I lay down. It was a good, warm feeling to know inside my heart that I finally had a girlfriend.